Hi, I'm Rob Froney, and welcome to this short video that's going to show you a little bit about the Kicad EESchema schematic entry tool. First of all, there are hotkeys. Of course, up here, if you put your mouse up in the top, just like normal in Ubuntu, you can see the menus. And if you look over here under Help, you can list hotkeys. And if you type a question mark, it will actually bring up this list. And you should really read down through all these hotkeys, because these hotkeys are actually quite useful in getting around in Kicad and EESchema especially. And the keys generally work the same way in EESchema and also PCB-New, the printed circuit board editor. So there's, you can zoom in with the keys, F1, F2. You can also zoom in with the scroll wheel or the, trackpad. You hit the home key to fit things on the screen. You hit F4 to center the schematic. And you can zoom in on various parts of the schematic if you like. That's actually handy. You can select a thing with a box and hit the ampersand, and it will jump to that selection. You can reset local coordinates with a space. You can edit an item by typing E. You can delete an item by hitting the delete key. You can rotate an item by just hitting R. And you don't have to hit capital any of these things. All these things like E, just lowercase works, R, lowercase works, G is lowercase works. And you can undo with Control Z and redo with Control Y. You can left click with the return key if you want. You can left double click with the end key. Save the schematic, Control S, load the schematic, Control L, find an item, Control F. Next item, F5. You can look for the next design rule check marker by Shift F5, and I'll explain what those design rules check markers are later in probably a different video. You can find and replace with Control Alt F. Repeat the last item. This is a useful key. The insert key will repeat the last item. That's really handy if you're like making buses and things like that, and you just need to repeat the next item, and it'll just kind of increment the number up for you. You can move the block or drag the block with the Tab key, copy block with the Control C, and you can paste the block with Control V. Control X will cut the block. And move an item is M. Let's scroll up here. You can add a symbol with the A, or add a power with the P. You can mirror about the x-axis with an X, or mirror about the y-axis with the Y. And remember, these are just lowercase, all of these in the single letter things. You can orient a new component with N. You can edit the schematic value, like a resistor value, by typing V. You can edit the symbol reference by typing U. You can edit the footprint by typing F. And you can edit with the symbol editor by doing a Control E. So if you need to get in more details of it with the editor, the Control E will give you more possibilities, more control over what you're doing. You can begin a wire with a W. You can begin a bus with a B. You can end a line wire bus with a K, or you can add a label with an L. You can add a hierarchical label with an H, or a global label with a Control H. Add a junction with a J. Add a no connect with a Q. Add a sheet with an S. A sheet is like another page of schematic. You can add a wire entry with a Z. You can add a bus entry with a slash. Add a graphic polygon with an I, add a graphic text with T, and you can update the PC board, printed circuit board, from the schematic with F8. And you can auto place fields with an O, and you can leave the sheet by Alt backspace and delete a node with backspace, and highlight connection with a Control B. So those are the default symbols. You can also change those hotkeys if you wish. So those hotkeys are pretty important. I wanted to show you those first. Then there are some tools along the left-hand side here that allow you to do various different things. This one right here, when you click that, it turns on and off the grid. This one right here selects whether you want in inches or millimeters. If I click this, it'll go to inches, and millimeters will not be highlighted. I prefer millimeters, so I'm using millimeters. This guy changes the cursor from being this little plus here with the arrow. Now it has long lines, and that's actually useful if you want to line something up that's much further up the page than you can't see exactly how far to pull something to make sure it lines up with something up there. So I like that sometimes, but most of the time I leave that off. This guy shows hidden pins. You can have components that have pins on them that are not showing on the schematic. So that's possible. And if you unselect this guy so it's not selected in red, then you can make wires go in any which way. Normally it's cleaner and neater to make them go vertically or horizontally, and I usually have that checked all the time. So these are some things about how the schematic is going to behave. Then on top here we have a bunch of toolbars, and this is the Save toolbar. This guy right here allows you to edit the box down here in the bottom and the type of paper you're using. Like for me, I always like to use letter, so I go here and change this A4 to US letter, and then you can put in your date and your revision, 0.1 or whatever it is, and title, whatever this thing is. This is a demo project. And, your company. For me, that's Walla Walla University. And then you should probably put your name down here so that people know who made this and they can come find you if they need more assistance. You can kind of select these things over here if you want to export these to other sheets. So maybe you want to export these parts to other sheets. And you can change your page layout description file here, but I won't bother showing you all about that now. So anyway, now if you notice here, we could scroll in on this, and it says Rob Froney, Walla Walla University. This is a demo project schematic, and title is demo project, and you can see it's US letter size and all those kind of things. And you also see the Kicad version that it was created in down here, and so that's the thing. Then you can print it here. Right here is plot the schematic. I kind of like that. It's useful for making a PDF of the schematic. If you click there and you click PDF, you can make a PDF, but you can also make other formats too, which are useful for some other things. Then over here, I guess we did that. This is copy and paste. That's paste. That's undo, redo, and this right here finds symbols and text. You can find things. This allows you to find and replace things all over your schematic. And this redraws the schematic once in a while. There's a need to do that. Normally I haven't found that to be too necessary, but I think in the old days it was really necessary when this was a kind of a new project. These are the zoom in, zoom out tools right here. Zoom out and zoom in. This thing right here will center your thing, set it normally. This thing right here will zoom to a selection, so if I make a selection here, it automatically zooms to that, when I have that thing clicked. Then often you will have some sub-sheets, and this allows you to navigate to those sheets. And this thing would allow you to leave one of those sub-sheets and go back to a higher level. This thing right here allows you to edit and create libraries, symbols, schematic parts. This thing right here allows you to browse various libraries that there are parts in, and you can see what's in there. If we click on this right here, you could see. Let's see, on their audio amplifier library, they have. I don't know. Let's look at this LM380 here, so you can see what. There's a LM380. It's an op amp, and if you want, you can look at the PDF of the thing here, and it'll tell you about this LM380 2.5 watt audio power amplifier. So that's kind of nice. So anyway, we'll leave that. Back to EESchema here. This is a footprint editor, and it allows you to create footprints. We'll show you how to do that later, and then you can tell the schematic editor what the physical footprint for that part is, and have that all available in the schematic. This tool allows you to annotate the schematic symbols. You have R1, R2, R3. This adds the 1, the 2, the 3 in your schematic. This allows you to check some basic checks to make sure that you didn't make a really dumb mistake, like connecting power to ground, or an output to an output, or something like that. This thing right here, CVPCB, is a way that you can go to this tool and you can associate footprints with schematic parts. But if you do what I recommend now, you can put all that data in when you enter your schematic, and you won't have to use this tool. That's why it didn't appear in the project manager anymore, but it's still available here if you need it. Then there's this tool which generates a net list. A net list is a list of all the components you've got and what connects to what. And that's necessary to generate that before you start or go into PCB new to make a printed circuit board. This is thing that will let you edit symbol fields. This is the bill of materials generator. There are some bill of materials generators you can download online that will make a nice list of your materials. This thing right here is the icon to start PCB new, which is the printed circuit board layout editor. And this allows you to import footprint associations that you added in PCB new back into your schematic. Now there's these tools on the right hand side which are quite useful. This is the selection tool right here. This is a tool that will allow you to highlight a net so you can see where it goes. Sometimes it's hard to follow a wire on a schematic. This will allow you to highlight the net. This is a tool for adding a part to your schematic. This tool allows you to add powers, like ground and 5 volts and those kind of things. This is the wiring tool, which allows you to connect two pieces of the schematic together with a wire. This is a bus tool, which allows you to, it shows where a whole bunch of wires are kind of bundled together. And this is the how you enter wires into a bus. And this is how you can enter buses into a bus. This is a no connect. One of the things that Kicad does is make sure you've got everything connected. And if there's a specific pin that you do not wish to connect to anything, you need to put one of these little symbols on it. This is a junction. That means that two wires, when they cross over, normally they don't connect, but when you have one of these little green dots there, that means they connect. This is a net name, and it's handy to put that on certain wires to tell you, what they are. And you can make global net names or global labels that will be for your whole project. It applies not just to this sheet, but other sheets. And then when you go from one sheet to the other, you can make a hierarchical label which will show this piece goes to another sheet and it connects in with this label on the other sheet. And so this creates the hierarchical sheet, which you can have. We talked about going back and forth up here between different sheets. That's how you make a different sheet. And this allows you to put a hierarchical pin on one of your sheets so that it can go to another, another sheet. And that's what these guys, let's see, that puts the pin on. What does this one do? So it looks like this imports them all. And then this guy right here I find useful for placing little boxes around parts of my schematic, which emphasize that they go together, and it's just a nice thing to make things easy to understand. And this places text, which you can put text around to help people understand your schematic. And this will allow you to place an image or a picture somewhere on your schematic if you wish. So that's been a quick introduction to all the tools in EESchema, and I think that's enough for this video. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you kind of have a better feeling for what the tools available to you are. Remember also up here there's some other things that I haven't really gone over. There's more available in the menus, I think, than in the tools, but the tools are the thing you use most. And there are these other things here which are sometimes useful. So not everything is available over on the right hand side, like I mentioned before. There's things like you can put a polygon line on and I'm not sure I see that. Maybe that's the same as this guy right here, but so anyway, there's those kind of things. Generally, this is kind of redundant with what we have over on the toolbar. And there's this library editor. We'll talk about that later. You sometimes need to make your own libraries of schematic symbols, and so you can manage that with this thing right here. And there are paths available in Kicad that allow you to archive your project up and open it on another computer and still have everything work. And these paths are important for that. And there's some general options, some settings here that you can look at as well that might be useful. So there's various colors and things you can set up here in your preferences. And you can select your language and various different things here. So I hope that gets you a little bit more feeling a little better about EESchema. There's also the manual here that you can look up, and it will tell you how to run EESchema. I guess it'd be better if it opened in your web browser. For me, it was opening in my editor, my web page editor. So that's enough for this this little video. We'll quit this one here and make another one where we actually do a demo of actually making a project in EESchema.